So, welcome. What an incredible night we have planned tonight. Everybody looks so nice, and what a warm welcome for me. Thank you. I want to get the program started pretty quickly so we can get to the kids, which is what this is about tonight. So without delay, I would like to introduce Mrs. Middleton. She has two children with me at Kumon. They've been at the center actually since before I took over the center. They started before they were in kindergarten. They're a very dedicated Kumon family, and now they actually commute from Homedale to still come to our center. I've learned a ton about learning by observing her two children. They truly love to learn. They work hard to try to figure things out on their own. They finally do ask questions when they really can't figure it out, and they never complain. And I should say they never complain to me. So please welcome Miss Middleton.
Thank you. This is perfect because I can't see any of you, so I don't have to worry about being nervous. As Connie mentioned, I'll talk to you a little bit about what I like to call our Kumon journey. And I'm sure as I go through our story, most of you will be able to relate to a lot of what we've experienced. We've been at the center now since before Miss Connie for about 4 years. We started the kids, for about 6 years. They started when they were about 4 years old. And at the time, the intention was to prepare them for kindergarten. And we started to see results right away. Both of the kids were enrolled in math and reading, and we started to see dramatic results with their academic ability. And so we decided then that we were going to commit and complete the program all the way through. Both of the kids, as I mentioned, academically straight A students. They have very, very strong math and reading skills. They work years ahead of their grade level. But in addition to that, what we've noticed since we started the program is that they've developed life skills that we feel strongly will carry them through high school, college, and even beyond into the workplace. For example, they've learned to work independently. They've learned about sacrifice and prioritizing and commitment and really setting goals, both long-term and short-term. And we believe that these skills really are lifelong skills that they'll use pretty much forever. I would love to stand here and tell you that it's been easy. You can ask my husband and my two children up there, they'll tell you it has not been easy. Initially, when we first started at 4 years old, they were very excited to come to the center. They loved sitting in the junior Kumon room, they loved to read, they loved learning math and learning to write, and it was beautiful. But as they started to get older, the homework load starts to get a little bit heavier, sports and activities start to interfere with our schedule, and then it becomes a challenge to get them to do the work. And now you're begging and nagging, and we stumbled through some of the Kumon levels, for example, level D in long division. I can't tell you how many tears were shed at our dining room table over long division. And I don't mean just them, that means me too. But it was frustration and aggravation, and there were many times when we just wanted to just give up, and it just wasn't worth the aggravation and the fighting and the tears and the screaming. We just wanted to give up, and then we'd come into the center, and Connie would talk us off the ledge, and she'd modify the workload, and she'd encourage us, and we'd agree to commit for one more level. And for anybody who's struggling through level D, I promise you it does get easier, so just hang in there. It does get easier. It doesn't seem that way now, but it will get easier. So once we finished, through level D, we got easier. Things started to get a little bit more, manageable. And the kids really started to realize that this was a commitment for us. We were in this long term, we committed to seeing the program through completion, and we're just not going to give up with it. Some of the things that have worked for us, and we consider ourselves to be a pretty average family. Mom and dad both work, kids are busy with activities and things like that. So I think a lot of it could work for you as well. But I think some of the things that have really, really worked for us is, number one is just making it a priority and making sure that the kids understand that it's a priority and understand why it's a priority. And at our home, it comes second only to schoolwork, and that's a very, very close second. It comes before sports, play dates, video games, TV, and sometimes, I'm embarrassed to say, even before sleep. So it's, it is a priority. The kids understand that, and we treat it as such. Grading the homework at home. I'm sure most of you have heard this from Miss Connie. We have not always been the best at grading the work at home, But one of the things that we saw when we weren't is that sometimes 4 or 5 packets later, we'd realize the kids would have to go back and relearn something all over again because they've been doing it wrong all along. So after we saw that a couple of times, we really, really committed to making sure the work got graded at home. It's their responsibility to do the work, it's our responsibility to make sure that it gets graded. So I think that's made a significant difference, and it's helped them progress to the levels much faster. Also, another thing that's worked for us is just sticking to a consistent schedule. We do the work every evening, Monday through Friday, every morning, Saturday and Sunday. And it's pretty much the same time every day unless there's some weird thing in the schedule we have to change it. We try to remain consistent with the time of day when we do the work. And then lastly, it's really simple. It's being patient. For those of you that are newer to the Kumon program, just be patient. It's different. It's a different experience for every child. Some kids see results right away. Other kids it takes a little bit longer. But just being patient. We've referred a lot of families to the Kumon Center. Some have stayed long term. Others have quit after a month because they just weren't seeing results right away. But just, being patient, stay committed to it, and I promise you after, a couple of months, usually maybe a little longer, you'll start to see results, and they'll be lifelong results. And then I think lastly for us, one of the main reasons why we've been successful is the experience that we've had at the Kumon Center in Howell. Connie and her staff have been very, very supportive, very helpful. I don't think that we would have committed to it this long had it not been for the support and the love that our kids get at the Howell Center. So thank you to Connie and her staff for helping our family through all of this.
Wow, Level D really makes an impression on everyone. It's actually in my speech too. So I took the center over 5 years ago. At the time, we had less than 50 subjects. I had a daughter in 2nd grade and one in 4th grade. Both had been doing Kumon for about 2 years. I'm not quite sure what I was thinking at the time, but I think it went something like this. 2 days a week, plenty of time to enjoy my family, even maybe ride my horse. Sounds easy. Well, 5 years later, we're a little over 200 subjects. I have a daughter entering high school, which I can't believe I'm really that old, and one in 7th grade. And I've learned a few things. First, it's not a part-time gig. The horse thinks he's retired. But beyond that, it's given me an opportunity to develop in myself some of the same things I'm trying to develop in your children. Let's start with persistence. Or as my Latin teacher used to say, stick-to-itiveness. From a car breaking into the waiting room, the economy falling apart, both happening in the first 2 months of owning the center. I've had ceilings caving in, flooding in the back room, competition coming and competition going. I've realized that it always passes. Sometimes it gets worse, just like Kumon levels, and sometimes it gets better, but it never stays the same. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck, and here comes my level D reference, in the middle of level D long division. And sometimes I'm flying through level I factoring and really enjoying it. And I have to tell you, I have learned to really enjoy factoring and upper level math. I've also learned how creative kids can be. And I can take credit for some of this creativity as well. Missing pages, sometimes the first page, sometimes the center page, sometimes the last page. Flushed pages. Remember that flood I talked about in the back room? Sometimes the kids will do only the front page, and I'm giving away all your secrets now. Sometimes the front and the back are done, but not the middle. That has to be my favorite, but they think we're not going to catch that. And lastly, when they copy the answers, but they're 1 page off. Great answers, wrong page. I've also learned about the pure joy in accomplishment and the boundless potential of children. From Andy, singing from the back of the center to the front in the middle of the class, I did it, I did it. To watching students in level I and J factoring faster than I did and in fewer steps than when I was learning. My daughters have gotten me on this daily lately, and it's really humbling. My kids, your kids, and Kumon have opened my eyes to the potential of today's youth. I have exceptional kids at my center. I worked all of you really hard this summer. I know that. I promise I've scaled you down. We're going into the school year. It's going to get a little easier. but I thank you for hanging in there. I think it's paid off because tonight we're recognizing 40 students for level 1 advanced study, which in Kumon's world that means 6 months to 23 months advanced study. 15 students for advanced 2-year study in their subjects, either math and or reading, and 8 students at 3 years advanced in 1 or both of the subjects. I also have 5 program proofreaders here tonight. So what does completing the program mean? So kids, there is an end to Kumon, and as my husband says, if I were them, I'd do it faster just to get through. Some of the children will tell you, although I've had some chicken out a little bit stage fright, but what it has meant to them to complete the program. But from a purely academic point of view, this means my reading completers have studied Hamlet, Pride and Prejudice, poets such as William Blake and T.S. Eliot. They've learned the finer points of grammar, plot. They've studied comedy and tragedy, as well as critical analysis. This is advanced high school level work, and none of them was in high school at the time. In math, this means that they've studied algebra, quadratic equations, the Pythagorean theorem. They can factor like nobody's business.